Hi, this is Gabriel Castro from exoticwoodpen.com. I'm going to be making my favorite pen, which is going to be a cigar pen. It's a basic pen, but I'm going to be using spalted maple, and I got a couple of tricks along the way that might save you some trouble in the future. First jig I made for doing pens is I made this little cheat stick. It's a slice of 1/8 inch maple veneer, or not veneer, it's just an offcut. And see, this the backside was my original one. It's got a lot of wear on it, so I redid this. And these are the most common sizes of the pens that I like to turn. This one's a cigar to the Sierra, and then the Sierra one I have a double. I've got the regular Sierra, and then there's a Sierra Click right there, to the roller balls and the convertibles and the Coronado, which used to be called an Atlas. Anyway, so basically how it works is you just take your blank, you choose a spot on it that you really like, that you want to use. So here we go. I'm going to just mark this to where I like it. I'm probably a little bit longer than where I like to be, but I'll just back cut that. I actually like to mark a little bit longer, and then that's right about where I'm going to be, but I'm going to leave that edge on. So all I have to do is make two cuts, one here and one there. And then I like to do all my cuts by hand, so I use a hand saw. And then I'm going to clamp that in place with a spring clamp real quick. And then I'm just going to use a pull saw. I'll readjust that a little bit more. Get that out of the way. So I need to grab a drill bit here that is going to correspond to the pen that I'm using. So just for quick reference, I have a cheat sheet here. So the cigar, you can see it says 25/64, since that's the one I always use the most. And then that is going to be this one right here. I don't know if you can see it or not behind there, but this one is, I just replaced this drill bit so it's nice and shiny. It's not all burned like the other ones. So I'm going to go ahead and chuck that one in the drill press in 1 second. So here we are at the drill press. I have the piece here in place. As you can see, it's just a movable piece. This is just some offcuts, some scraps I put together, and that just held in place with a couple of spring clamps, nothing fancy. So I'm just going to line that up. Oh, on this right here, I do have it dimpled so that the brad point will find the center as soon as I advance that in and as I lock it in place. So I'm going to lock that in, and we'll start drilling. Through the middle. And let's see here. Slide it over. And that's pretty close to being centered. So we'll just repeat the process for the other side. Okay, now we're going to glue these up. So I have my cord out of the way here. As you can see, I have my laptop a little bit over here in the background as I'm recording right there. I'm using my laptop and a web camera to record the video. So to do my glue ups, I'm just using plain old Elmer's glue, probably plain old white Elmer's glue, good old vanilla, and Elmer's glue all, as you can see. I've been using that one for years. It works great for this sort of application, but it doesn't work good on acrylic, so don't even bother. These are double checked lengthwise, size-wise, so I always start from the middle and work my way back when it comes to the glue ups. So this is a piece of a credit card, you know, those gift cards or store cards or credit cards that they send you in the mail that you always throw away. I use those for glue up. I'm going to start with just a liberal amount of that, put that on there. I used to use epoxy all the time, but that got to be pretty expensive. And I figured, hey, if glue works good for just glue, and since you got a really good rough sanding on that brass, it should bite. So I tried it a couple times and haven't had any issues with it, so I've been doing it ever since. So put a liberal amount on there, tuck that in a little bit. You know, scoot a little bit more forward, push it in, clean off the rest. You know, $1's worth of Elmer's is going to last you quite a long time. So we'll set that off to the side. Okay, and then you can see that's done. And so in my Delta lathe, I like using the most for doing all my milling or squaring the ends. You see I keep a 1/2 inch rare earth magnet on my lathe for the pin milling. We'll tighten that down, get that out of the way, and then move over to the 4-jaw chuck. And so I'm going to start my way in the middle first on one of them. Make sure that's in there and kind of tight. And then to catch any little debris, I use a pie pen underneath, and I throw a little magnet in there, and that lands right on the banjo, and that's going to catch any debris. And then I'm going to advance this forward. Where I need it. Nice and slow. Doesn't take much to rewind that. Flip that around. One, and you do the same for the other. I'm just going to use this is a tapered drill bit that I picked up at Harbor Freight on the end of a screwdriver, and I'm just going to ream those out really gently, but I'm going to keep this. I'm not going to go in straight, I'm going in on an angle, so I want this to ride flat inside the brass. So that way, all I'm doing is just removing the burr, and nice and gently. It doesn't take much. And that side's done. We'll do the same thing. Up. So, okay, here we are at the lathe, and you can see that I've got my upper and lower portions marked with the center for my pen. So this is going to be a cigar pen. This is my best selling pen. And for turning, I'm going to, the tools I'm going to use a 1/2 inch flat, round flat, and then I use a 1/2 inch skew. And so anyway, we're going to go ahead and start out, and we're going to crank the speed up. You're going to hear the dust collection go on. And here we go. See what this looks like. Well, that was some hard cutting. I don't think I've ever cut one that was that hard before. But then again, that's stabilized maple for you. Slowly there. That is so hard, almost doesn't even need sanding. But we'll go ahead and start off with the sanding. Or maple in general is it takes just a basic wax finish. So this is the wax I'm putting on here. I'm just going to burnish that in. And I just have a folded up shop towel ready to go. And then I'm over here, I cut that in with a skew, and then I'll show you that why I do that in just a minute after I assemble it. And do that another 2 more times, build up the wax. I'm going to rotate. So here we go, final assembly, back to the drill press. I've got all my parts here in a bowl that I need to use. So I'm going to start with the top end first. And so I need that. This is again for the cigar pen. I'm using a black chrome kit, and I can put that just about anywhere and it's going to look good. Make sure, well, that's good, a good height adjustment. Go ahead and push that down in place. This is that part, and this one I want to drop down a little bit more. Loosen that up. So that piece looks good. Now for the front part, so I'm going to do this is the tip piece. It's going to go in there. Squeeze that in place. This is just an offcut. And then on the lathe, I showed where I undercut with the skew in this middle piece right here. And that is because you can see on the first one how that is thinner than that bulge right there. Normally on cigar pins you see that where that's cut, where it's flush with that, and it looks really heavy. This gives it more of a refined look when that's trimmed down a little bit further. So we put that on the end where the transmission goes. Squeeze that in place. Put the transmission on. Okay, this is the Parker refill. This is the tip. And see, that's perfect. And then we'll just push those two pieces together. And you can see that from that spalting goes perfect on both sides. And there you have it, quite a bit of the steps involved, but that's my #1 seller, the cigar pen. I sell this one, oh gosh, probably 3 to 1 compared to my other pens whenever I sell them in that shape. It's a really nice, comfortable shape. It fits in your hand nice. It's a nice hard line that transitions down to a nice smooth line. Anyway, if you like it, give us a like. Sorry it's sort of drawn out. But give us a like, check us out on Facebook, like us there, subscribe, and share. Have a good day.